Being a website that covers the history of coal mining, we have run across several scandals that have rocked, no pun intended, the coal mining industry. One of these was the events that involved the bankruptcy and reorganization of Elkhorn Coal Company in 1937. Another scandal involved the United States Syndicate of 1903. One more scandal involved the creation of Pioneer Coal, which was part of the Consolidation Coal Company that resulted in the creation of Jenny Wiley Lake. But first, we will talk about the feuds in Little Elkhorn Creek that was set off by a simple discovery, and how surrounding counties were also involved in feuds for the same reasons. And this is just a few of the scandals that went on concerning the creation of the coal industry in eastern Kentucky. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine for our flight back in time, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger vehicle to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. Broaz discovers coal in eastern Kentucky. The official story goes along these lines. Richard Broaz had been in the Elkhorn Creek area of Pike County during the Civil War when he was a captain in the Union Army. Being a trained prospector, he knew that there had to be a huge vein of coal in the region of eastern Kentucky because of the amount of coal chunks that would wash up in the creek beds. In 1881, Richard Broaz started in Louisa to prospect for a vein of coal that he knew had to be massive. He worked his way slowly south 93.4 miles to 96.9 miles, depending on how you travel, to what is now Jenkins, Kentucky. If a person walked straight from one point to the other point, it would take 34 to 36 hours of travel time. It would take Richard Broaz 2 years to travel between these points because he would travel for several miles, then prospect the creeks again to see if he's seen any signs of the King Coal vein that he was looking for. In 1883, Broaz finally found the vein that he was searching for in Letcher County in an area known at the time as Little Elkhorn Creek. The discovery was found in a holler named Joe's Branch. This vein of coal is called the, quote, true Elkhorn, unquote, coal vein. However, none of the official story of the discovery of Richard Broaz can be verified. This is the story that we can verify. Captain Richard Broaz of New York became involved with the search for minerals beginning with the early development around the Oil City area in Pennsylvania. He later went to California, and after an unsuccessful venture to find gold and silver in the Sierras, Broaz came to the lower reaches of the Big Sandy River in 1881 in the interest of Horace Walbridge, a prominent merchant and railroad man of Toledo, Ohio. He started his search near Louisa. Not liking what he found, he moved upriver, where he uncovered the Miller Creek seam. After reporting his findings on the Walbridge project and purchasing 10,000 acres for his principals near Van Leer, Broaz continued to survey and explore along the Big Sandy River. In 1883, Broaz heard a rumor about an abandoned survey that had been done on Elkhorn Creek from Elkhorn City south to Ash Camp, Kentucky. He came to Ash Camp in April of that year, and after verifying the report of the earlier survey, he broadened his survey and found mineable coking coal in the area. However, he concluded that since the seam was so close to the Cumberland Fault, that it was limited in its extent. At this point, it was notable to mention that Broaz had been opening small coal mines along the Big Sandy River. He was shipping coal by barge downriver to the Van Leer area, where they would be offloaded to trains and shipped across the country. However, the Ash Camp coal, being on the Elkhorn branch of the river, was too far upriver to allow the heavy coal to be shipped by barge. but by having the backing of railroad tycoon Horace Walbridge. Broaz was sure that he could find a coal field of significant value the railroad could be persuaded to extend to this remote region of Kentucky. It is also worthy to note that it is at this time the story of Richard Broaz standing in the Elkhorn Creek in Pike County examining a piece of coal is likely to have occurred, because suddenly in September of that year he broke camp, moved 14 miles upriver to the headwaters of Elkhorn Creek near what is now called Jenkins. There, within a short time, Broaz found the coking coal that he had long sought after, near the mouth of Joe's Branch. There were several seams of coal in the area. The one that interested Broaz the most he named the Elkhorn No. 3 seam, and spent several years opening the coal in countless places for miles around the area, testing it for quality, searching for its boundary limits, and purchasing the rights to all the coal that matched his standards. The achievement of Broaz only became apparent years later when it was found that the chemical makeup of the coal he purchased changed so drastically within a few miles of Jenkins that it required shipment to a different market. Ironically, Richard Broaz's backer, Horace Walbridge, died in January 1893, and Broaz was never able to get the railroad to expand into the area. Broke and disheartened, Broaz eventually sold all of his holdings to John C. Mayo for a mere sum of $30,000. The spark that ignited Little Elkhorn Creek. Little did Broaz know, but his discovery would set off a series of events that would lead to what is now known as the Pound Gap Massacre, or the Killing Rock. Joe's Branch was the property that was owned by Henry Vanover. Once the word got out about the value of the land that he now owned, it was believed that he was shot in his cornfield because he refused to sell his property. This event would set off a series of events that would lead to several murders and a trial that left questions for 132 years. We have more about the events that took place about the murder of Henry Vanover and the aftermath in our two playlist series called Killing Rock and Pound Gap Massacre. This event could possibly have set off a feud in Little Elkhorn Creek between Claiborne Clabe Jones, Thomas Talton Tout Hall, and John Wesley Bad John or Devil John Wright. This feud was started because John Wesley Wright was giving protection to Thomas Talton Tout Hall to basically run roughshod over the citizens of the area who refused to sell their land. It was believed that Hall killed Sayers for his land, clothes, money, and wife. Jones was working as a lawman at the time and went to arrest Hall for the crime. From there, Letcher County ignited into a war that lasted several months. For more information about the Jones-Hall-Wright feud and the autobiography of Clabe Jones, please see our playlists. Another feud that this discovery would spark would be between the Henry Adams and Jeff Fleming feud. After the return of Adams to eastern Kentucky, he went before the judge in Wise County, Virginia, to prove his innocence in the crime of the Killing Rock. Because of a testimony on the stand, a physical fight broke out in the courtroom between Adams and Fleming. The two never reconciled, and a feud began between the two families. This feud would be short-lived, as Jeff Fleming would die, and then the charges against Henry Adams and Heenan Fleming would be dropped in 1901. This would happen because Wise County tried to have a grand jury to re-indict Heenan Fleming. However, the star witness, Jane Mullins, had been murdered by this point, and there was not enough evidence to convict either man. Again, please reference our Killing Rock and Pound Gap series for this information. Eastern Kentucky goes to war with itself. We have videos listed for each of these individual feuds if you are interested in more information about them. However, the discovery of coal rivaled the land rush. Everyone was rushing to grab mineral rights to people's land. Many feuds were sparked because of their position about this. Such feuds were the French and Eversold feud, the Bloody Breathitt County War, and the Holbrook and Underwood feud. These feuds were very violent, with people being killed in their gardens, on the witness stands. There were also people's homes and government buildings, such as courthouses, that were burned to the ground. This sparked an era where the Appalachian people were afraid to take a step outside of their doorway. It was truly a time that rivaled the Wild West. In 1906, all of the official feuding had ceased, and many were punished for their crimes, while others walked away scot-free. The official offer was made concerning Little Elkhorn Creek in 1908, and the Consolidation Coal Company would move into the area in 1909. Little Elkhorn Creek would be renamed to Jenkins, and the little town would start construction that year. In next week's video, we will dive into the U.S. Land Syndicate scandal over the false deeds. Thank you. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the scandals of the Consolidation Coal Company. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Please double check that you are subscribed, as many of our viewers are finding that they are no longer subscribed to our channel. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.